Here's a short video on how to change the front wheel bearing on a D40 Navara. A handy tip is to park the car in low range four-wheel drive and firmly apply the handbrake. This will help in later steps when removing the 32mm spline nut. First you want to take your wheel off and set the car up safely on a stand. Find your ABS sensor connector and disconnect it. Locate the two bolts at the back of the hub that hold the caliper on and remove them. Once you've removed the bolts that hold the caliper onto the hub, remove the caliper from the brake rotor and hang it down gently by the brake line. Be aware that the caliper may stick if you have a small burr around your brake disc. Now that you have the caliper off, you should be able to wiggle the brake disc off the hub. If it sticks, get a small hammer, tap around the edge of the brake disc and it should wiggle off nicely. Next you'll need to remove the split pin from the spline. Bend the bottom and slide it out through the top. With the split pin out, spray the spline thread with some D40. This will help the next step when you go to take the nut off the spline thread. Next you'll need a 32mm socket. You can use a rattle gun to get this off. If not, you can use a breaker bar with a little bit more of an extension. Undo the 32mm nut so it just passes the end of the spline thread and give it a tap with a hammer, which pushes the spline back through the hub. Next you want to undo the 4 bolts that bolt the hub casing to the steering knuckle. After you remove the bolts from the hub casing, it should come freely out of the knuckle. You'll be able to place it on the ground. Just be aware that the backing plate will also follow and the ABS brake cable. To replace the new hub bearing, just follow all these steps in reverse. Replace the hub bearing, backing plate and ABS cable and do up the 4 bolts that bolt the bearing to the knuckle. Replace the 32mm nut on the spline thread and tighten it up in a clockwise direction. Replace the split pin through the hole of the spline thread and bend the bottom out so it doesn't move. Run the ABS cable back up through the suspension and plug it back into the wiring harness. Replace the disc and slide the caliper over the disc and replace the 2 bolts that bolt the caliper to the knuckle. Well, I hope you found this video easy and I hope it helps you in the future. Thanks for watching.